Hello, my ducklings. So we are going to be playing Ambre. I think that's how you pronounce it. I've never actually played this. I really don't know much about what it's about. Um, there were some pretty good reviews about it, and there were some not so good ones. So I figure, just us, we can go through it together and see how we like it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to settings, and I'm just going to kind of set this up. Background music, and it was probably fine where it was at, but whatever. Special effects, is that quieter or louder? Oh well, I can not really tell. We'll just do it like that. That way it can actually, scare us, when it randomly does that. Text, I think that's probably just the things, and we can always go back here and change it if we need to. So let's just return. And like I said, I don't know anything about this. I ain't played the first bit of it, so I guess we'll just figure out together. Okay, let's get started. It was 7 p.m. on that beautiful yet cold autumn day. The wind shook the frail trees' branches across the street. Tristan Mallory made his slow, tired way. A whirlwind of leaves caught his attention when he stopped to contemplate them for a few minutes. We gotta be careful, we got the contemplative type. A spray of colors danced around him, fragments of red, orange, yellow, spread at random, forming a mosaic that stretched on far as the eye could see. A rush of beauty in that gray and fuming city, that noisy metropolis that was constantly I cannot read the font well, sorry. Exhaling pollution. Coming back to his senses, the 30-year-old man shook his head. Now wasn't the time to be daydreaming. He had to go home. Okay, he kinda cute. I like his scarf. I like his green eyes. And he's 30, so, I'm not, creeping on a pedophile. Or, I said that all kinds of wrong, but I think y'all know what I mean. The long day already weighed on his shoulders, but if he was completely honest, work wasn't the most tiring thing in his life. Okay. After all, an honest, well-paid job was somewhat of a luxury these days. Like any model employee, he conscientiously accomplished the tasks handed to him, no more, no less. I am sorry, babes. I cannot read for nothing, apparently. No, what was really destroying him was a completely different form of fatigue, an appalling and crushing solitude that had been shadowing him for years, ever since his wife... Oh no. The light tinkling of the front door opening brought him back to earth. He was already at his flat. A sad and silent living room was waiting for him. A shiver traveled down his spine as he entered the room. Driven by an almost desperate urge, he didn't even bother hanging up his coat before slamming open all of the doors in his flat, one after the other. Each time the same emptiness answered his pleas, he felt a rising dread within. His last hope, the last door, the forbidden room beyond. He opened it slightly and peeked inside. Of course, there was no one inside. He fell heavily onto the sofa. Baby, if you live alone and someone was there, The crushing solitude came back in full force, crushing him again and again, wounding his face with invisible cuts, the cuts of time. It was happening again. All of a sudden, Tristan felt immensely exhausted. He held his head in his hands, staring at the floor for a long time. After what felt like an eternity, he abruptly got to his feet. He gathered all of the framed pictures on display and stowed them away in a closet. The memories needed to be out of sight. Okay, this kind of hurts. I just lost my stepmom not too long ago. And okay, I'm gonna be okay. It's okay, Tristan Me and you, we can grieve together. It's okay. It's okay. When he was sure that there was no more picture sticking out, Tristan put his coat back on and rushed outside. Yeah, I get it. It was chilly and a bit dark, but there was still enough light to see clearly. It was the ideal time to take a walk. At least, that's what he once might have thought. As he hurried along the sidewalk, Tristan was anything but relaxed. He walked around the places that were most familiar to him, looking for a serenity that seemed to be definitively out of reach. Definitely out of reach. While passing a park near his home, he suddenly heard a high-pitched, almost inaudible plea. His heart jumped, and he stopped. Look, you best not be a pedophile. I've already, kind of gotten attached to you. I don't want you suddenly being a creeper. In the dim light of the setting sun, he made out the silhouette of a little girl, sitting on a swing with her head bowed. Tears were rolling down her cheeks. Afraid of startling her, he approached slowly and took a closer look. Her clothes were crumpled. She had neither a coat nor a scarf, and she bore visible scratches as if she had been in a fight. The park was completely deserted, and she seemed to have been there for a while. For a second, Tristan felt the temptation to abandon her there, to leave her to her fate, but very quickly he mentally chastised himself. He couldn't do that. So he placed himself in front of her and asked in a soft voice, "Is something wrong?" At first, the little girl seemed not to hear him. She choked on her sobs, hiccuped, and shuddered. Patiently, Tristan stroked her hair and repeated, "Why are you crying? What happened? You need to be careful touching her. This is not the day and age where you can safely do that kind of stuff." It took her several minutes to calm down a bit, but eventually she wiped away her tears and answered with a faint voice, interrupted by sobs. I don't know. I think I've lost something important, really important, but I can't remember what it was." Tristan sighed, feeling a mixture of compassion and pity. She seemed so lost, so vulnerable. And we are not going to take advantage of that vulnerability because we are going to go to the cops. Ain't that right, Tristan? Because when you see lost children, you go to cops and you tell them so you don't get pegged and get thrown in jail. He wanted to hold her so tightly that her sadness would melt away, but at the same time a voice within was telling him that he shouldn't be too forceful, that he should be aware of her vulnerability. You have to be careful touching strange, random children. You are going to get yourself in trouble, even if you do not mean anything by it. So he tried to stay composed and look reassuring, yet in front of this sad little girl, he did not feel confident at all. "I am going to save." In this cute little empty spot with a teddy bear, I really do like all of the... anyways. Okay? So, and just, gonna save again. And one more time, just to make sure, because 3 times makes sure that it's definitely saved. So he tried to stay composed and look reassuring, yet in front of this sad little girl, he did not feel confident at all. "Are you all alone? Where are Mommy and Daddy?" "I don't know." "Do you live far away from here?" "I don't know." "What's your name?" "Ambre." I think that's how you pronounce it. "Well, Ambre, you can't stay out here in the wind. You're going to catch a cold eventually, and you don't want to get sick, do you?" "Tristan, don't do it. You take her hand and you walk her to a police station, and you tell them that you found her alone in a park. You do not take her home, because you are not a pedophile." "No, I hate being sick." "See, you've got to go warm yourself up somewhere. It'll be night soon." "But I don't know where to go." "In that case, what do you think about going to my place? It's not far away from here, and it'll be a much better place to sleep than the swing." Okay, attention to all of my viewers that I don't have. If you find a child, you do not randomly take them home. I don't care if you are male, female, or whatever. I don't care. You do not do that, because even if you have nothing but good intentions, you could get locked up for a very long time. Now, this is fiction, and I will suspend my belief because I understand that this is fiction, and I understand that, or I don't think that Tristan is a bad person. I just don't think he's thinking clearly. So I'm going to suspend my belief and understand that this is fiction from here on out, because it looks like we're committed to taking her home. Okay. Ambre seemed wary, as she should be, but she had no other choice but to follow him. She had other choices. He gently reached a hand to her, and for the first time, she lifted her eyes. They were washed out, blurry with tears and hesitant. He thought it a good idea to force a smile, to appear reassuring. Even with the fatigue, Tristan showed the most convincing smile he could and took her hand, so fine, so frail, to help her get to her feet. The young girl's steps were wobbly and weak. She had probably not eaten all day long. Carefully, he led her to his place while making sure she wouldn't trip. The man removed his coat and shut the front door behind them. "Make yourself at home, I'll cook you something." Okay. Good. She's probably hungry. Okay, since we've committed to this path. Passing through the kitchen, he turned on the light in the living room so that his flat would look less gloomy. Good. While searching his fridge for a potential meal, he periodically stole several glances over the counter. In the living room, Ambre was still walking around, a bit wild, still on the defensive. Good. She explored this new environment by looking around, admiring the ornaments. Unfortunately, she didn't find much to pique her interest. It was a bland house, almost too bland. There were no clues about its occupants' lives. Taking advantage of Tristan's being distracted by a packet of noodles, she escaped to the hallway and tried to find the bathroom. She found it quickly enough, but before returning to the hallway, she noticed that all the doors were wide open except for one. Strangely, before she even had time to think about it, she was drawn to that doorway. Intrigued, Ambre felt magnetically attracted to the slightly open door. Just one peek was all she wanted, but she struggled to see anything through the crack. Was this Bluebeard's cabinet a frightening tomb where Tristan stored the corpses of his former wives? Well, that's an imagination. That is definitely an imagination. If she is that concerned, then maybe she should not have followed a strange man, but she only looks to be like maybe 7, so maybe, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Saving again. So yeah, I just went ahead and saved again because, I'm just gonna save again and just one more time, just to make sure, Okay, so yeah, where Tristan stored the corpses of his former wives. Yeah, the little girl pushed the door open, entered the room, and switched the light on. Okay. It's a bedroom filled with plush toys and soft cushions. Okay, so wait. Was the person that Tristan was talking about died? Was it his daughter? I assumed it was his wife. Or, he never even said that this person died. It just was very clearly hinted at. Okay, so maybe it was the daughter, I guess. Well, I would like to say that would explain why he randomly took a little girl home with him, but that still doesn't explain it. A big bed was proudly displayed in the center of the room, accompanied by a pretty dressing table to one side. The walls were painted to look like a bright blue sky. I do kind of see clouds, I think. The storage furniture, coordinated with the sweet colors of trinklets, was overflowing with mysteries. On the nightstand, she could catch a glimpse of a nightlight shaped as a cute mascot. I don't see what she's talking about, but okay. There was a fairy-like ambiance about the strange room, to the extent that Ambre couldn't repress a little exclamation of surprise. Closing the door so that the 30-year-old, I thought it said 3-year-old, and I'm like, she is older than 3, so that the 30-year-old wouldn't discover her hiding spot, she stretched out on the colorful bed, rolled into a ball, jumped about, and snuck under the bed sheets. Inexplicably, she felt at ease in this room, worthy of a princess. It seemed to have been built for her, to correspond to her every fantasy. She then approached a big teddy bear, which was tempting her. She grabbed it immediately, hugged it, and covered it with kisses. Her pale face was illuminated by a wide, pure, innocent smile, a child's smile. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, Tristan had finished cooking the noodles and was about to serve the meal when he noted the absence of the little girl. Slightly worried, he called for her. Ambre? Ambre, are you here? Nervous, he looked for her in all the rooms, checking first to see if she was in the bathroom. He searched everywhere in the house until there were only... The front door makes a lot of noise when it opens, so I would have heard it if she had left. Could she actually be in there already? With a contrite sigh, he headed towards the fully lit, forbidden room and discovered Ambre playing with stuffed animals. His gaze softened. I suppose that I can't do anything, he reassured himself. Without a word, he went to sit next to her. On the bed, the little girl was moving the stuffed animals' hands while making them speak. In her weak voice, she was narrating a stuffed animal tea party and seemed to be enjoying herself very much. The light was back in her eyes. Suddenly, she got mad at a plump cow and scolded her harshly. So, the cow's not that plump. The cow's cute. You leave that cow alone. It's dirty. Stop it right now. You're making a mess. Allie, what did I say? It's dirty. You've got to behave yourself. And don't roll on the floor. You shouldn't make a fuss just because you didn't get what you wanted. As punishment, she sent the cow in a corner while ordering her not to move and replaced it with a pony with long eyelashes. The stuffed animal tea party, hosted by the blue monkey, was obviously not going as planned. Tristan examined the little girl's every move with care. She finally noticed his presence. He felt he had to speak. Are you having fun? Yeah, I didn't know that there was a bedroom like this in your house. Whose room is it? It was my wife's favorite room before she left. Okay. So she left or died, one or the other. I don't know which. So the question is was his wife just really into little girl type stuff, which happens, or did his wife want a daughter, but somehow they weren't able to? Huh. I don't know. But like, it was the favorite room. Okay. Oh no, go away. What happened to her? It's a long story. Maybe I will tell you another time. Meanwhile, the meal is getting cold. Don't you want to eat? I'm coming right now. What's for dinner? Spaghetti. Ugh. Hashtag triggered. Ugh, noodles. I hate that. Gross, gross. Great, I love it! Well, okay. If she likes it at least. That evening, Tristan admired little Ambre as she wolfed down her food, half amused, half distracted. Seeing her so happy soothed his heart a little, but at the same time, Are you tired? The child suddenly asked with a serious air. A little. I worked hard today. She didn't comment further. Still amazed by the princess' bedroom, she revived the topic with starry eyes. Do you like it? Yeah, a lot. I wish I had a similar room. If you won't, I'll give it to you. I'm sure you have good intentions, Tristan, but again, you have to kind of be careful with that stuff. What? My wife left a long time ago. Her stuff is still inside and I don't use it, so if you like, it's yours. You can stay in her room while I'm looking for your parents and what you lost. What do you say? Can I really? But it doesn't belong to me. There's nothing sadder than a house without life, don't you think? I know that my wife loved to rest in her favorite room. There she felt at ease, like on a cloud, but now she's not living here anymore. Since you seem to like this place, I think it would make her happy to know that her bedroom is in good hands. And I can do whatever I want in it? While I'm at work, you'll be able to play in this room as much as you want. Okay, so you're gonna leave this strange random girl alone in your house. I mean, she's like 6 or 7, I want to say. I mean, there's no way she's older than 9. Of course, I mean, what do I know? Just, you're not making good life decisions, Tristan. I'll leave you some leftovers for the lunch. You'll only have to heat them up in the microwave, and in the evening we'll play together if you'd like to. Do I need to go to school? No more school, only games. Tristan, the baby boy, Tristan, no! You were not making good decisions. Yay, great! I mean, I'm sure she's excited, she's a kid, but Tristan, in front of Ambre's overflowing enthusiasm, Tristan couldn't help but smile faintly, almost pitifully. Yes, that's it, he kept telling himself, as if to reassure himself. All I'm doing is keeping her around until she remembers who she is and what she's lost. Waiting for her to remember. Thus begun their strange routine. Tristan woke up early in the morning to go to work, but before leaving and rushing into the fog, he had to take a few minutes before facing the daily grind, a few brief minutes on the threshold to gaze at the sleeping Ambre. I don't know. Then he ran away through streets covered by dead leaves, escaping far away towards the mountains of paperwork, towards the baleful towers furnished by vast offices where the slaves chained to their computers toiled away for the lord of that place. Poetic, I like it. Well, at least that's what the little girl thought his working day looked like. As for her, she woke up easily around 9 a.m., and her first reflex was to stretch and yawn in front of cartoons with a bowl of cereal in hand. She followed her favorite heroines' adventures. All of them were beautiful and courageous. All of them were friends for life, princesses with elegant superpowers covered with light effects and flower petals. Rich and beloved, they lived a perfect and enviable existence, especially the main character, who owned a bedroom very similar to Ambre's. It was colorful and filled with cute accessories. However, this room was only a part of a bigger palace furnished the same way. I would like to live in a castle as well. With cute animals as her friends, the heroine hunted the villains, fell into traps, and called for the help of her charming prince, an ideal and fantasized man who served her hand and foot. Life seemed easy, full of laughs and adventure. All that was needed was to send back the bad woman to her hiding place in the darkness. After all, she was nasty because she envied the young, dazzling girls, nasty because she was old and disillusioned. Ambre would have loved to have magical powers allowing her to make cute outfits appear, allowing her to have a stable where unicorns slept, allowing her to have a ballroom where she could organize extravagant parties based on beautiful dresses and cupcakes. It was all very disappointing for her to see the end of the episode. Of course, there were other programs, but the story with magical jewels was her favorite. When the cartoons ended, she went to fill in her coloring books in her room, daydreaming about being among those heroines, and then, at midday, she heated up the leftovers that Tristan had left and went back watching TV. New programs awaited her. Again, she had her favorite, the one where a little girl owned a puppy that was different from the others. It was a red puppy who could sneak around. It was so very adorable, with its big eyes and comical expressions, that it made her melt. How would like to have a dog that cute? The meal passed quickly to the rhythm of opening songs that she knew by heart. That was usually the time Tristan chose to call to make sure everything was okay. She never missed this opportunity to tell him the content of the episodes of the day, how the heroine had defeated the evil witch with her magical mirror, or how the little dog had helped her mistress at school. Relieved, he would start eating his sandwiches without appetite, but sated by the little girl's words. She hung up satisfied with her story, and usually turned off the television after the last cartoon to rest in her big bed, surrounded by her stuffed toys. Around this time, she usually read a fairy tale. She loved to tell herself the story of Cinderella again and again while sucking her teddy bear's ear. It was her favorite. People and life itself were nasty to Cinderella. She had to work hard. It was exhausting. She had to earn her meal, and the nasty, ugly sisters believed themselves superior. Fortunately, the prince recognized the heroine's natural talent. She was pretty and she was special. He brought her with him to his castle to live a golden existence, where she wouldn't have to work, her fingers to the bone, where money flowed freely, where Cinderella could have everything she wanted, including all the things that shone, accessories, dresses, cakes. All she had to do to fill time was to organize parties with her friends. The ugly sisters were not invited. They were too ugly, too rude, and they did not deserve such a paradise. Look, ugly does not equal evil. That's not fair. That's not fair. Cinderella was happy. She knew love, true love, the only love, the love with gilding and glitter. For what more could she ask? Ambre fell asleep happily, hoping to meet her charming prince one day, the one who would only have eyes for her and would give her a room like the one the princesses that she admired so much had. You need to be careful. I didn't sign up for this. I signed up for something cute. I mean, this is cute, but still. When she opened her eyes, the little girl rushed again to the living room to watch a tape, a Disney movie. Depending on her mood, she chose one with animals or one with a couple who lived happily ever after. Often then, she watched Snow White or The Little Mermaid. Ooh, I have a friend whose favorite Disney movie is The Little Mermaid. Ambre loved the idea of a glass coffin containing a body that would not grow old despite death, that would remain always young and beautiful, lying in wait to be freed from her prison for the magical kiss that would change the course of her story. The prince spirited her away from the common hut of those proletarian dwarves who were friendly but so uncouth. She also loved the idea of a beautiful and rebellious mermaid swimming through the oceans, looking for treasures but sacrificing her freedom for the man in her life, sacrificing the endless to squeeze into the gilded cage she had fantasized about 1,000 times. The beautiful and rebellious mermaid never listened to anyone else, which reminded her of her own condition. She too was a sweet, capricious girl. She played these tapes on loop day after day until snack time came. By then, stuffed with idyllic images, she dug into the sweets that Tristan brought for her: cupcakes, colorful macaroons, pastries, bread, and Nutella. Of course, there were cartoons at this time as well. As it was getting late, she finally pushed the off button to resume her fantasies elsewhere in her room, wielding her dogs with skills perfectly tracing the course of her dreams. But the high point of the day was probably when Tristan finally returned from work. She knew he was there from the creaking of the door. She would rush into the living room to greet him, and all joyous she would throw herself at him timidly at first, then with more enthusiasm over the weeks. Okay. And Tristan still has not gone to the cops, okay? And Tristan, I know you mean well, baby. I know you do. I know you do, but I don't want you getting thrown in jail, and this is fantasy, and I know that, but oh Tristan. She loved being carried on his shoulders, to mimic an airplane and fly through the flat until they crashed on the bed laughing. Playing together was so much fun. With her friends, she could give life to her characters more easily. Her favorites, playing Mommy and Daddy. Okay. Ambre played the role of the mother, always occupied by the well-being of her child, a PVC doll with dead eyes supposed to embody an adorable little baby. She had to wash him, change him, cuddle him, and give him his bottle. Tristan had the role of father. He had to read the newspaper in the kitchen while waiting for his wife to cook him a good meal, a role which hardly got him involved, but he was more than satisfied with that. Ambre took her task very seriously. She had the lead role after all. Therefore, she served her imaginary husband plastic fries and fruits with a bossy pout. He appreciated the gesture. However, the real meal was left to Tristan once the game ended, a meal which the little girl took as an opportunity to deliver the rest of her fabulous adventures. Tristan only had to listen to her with a smile on his face before requiring her to go to the bathroom to wash up and brush her teeth. Ambre always grumbled at bath time, but her sexless Barbie mermaid quickly helped her to forget the inconvenience. More than once, she slyly waited for the 30-year-old man to come close enough for her to shoot him with a fish-shaped water gun. Innocent laughter would ensue. Again, baby boy Tristan, I know you don't mean any harm, or I'm assuming you don't mean any harm, but you're... this is fantasy. This is fantasy. This is not real. Suspend your belief. Tristan is doing nothing wrong because this is fake. Okay, I'm going to save again. Except this time, I'm going to save in the second empty slot. And as always, you know, gots to make sure. Oops, sorry. Pressed the wrong button.